What's up, guys? This is episode, I think, 8, maybe 9. So let's get into it. I'm scrolling through to figure out what we're going to talk about. We're definitely going to talk about some commercial real estate. I guess we could talk a little bit about the whole Biden impeachment and how that might, it's very interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the debt ceiling again a little bit. I'm not going to recap. You could listen to the last episode. That's what it was all about. We'll talk about the dollar possibly going to zero, case for Bitcoin, and let's see what else I could trickle in here. Let's get started with commercial real estate. So fun. I just posted something today that there was a Chick-fil-A that was still selling at like a 3 cap, right? And listen, I'm not going to question your intelligence, but I am going to try to break this down. Like if you didn't know anything about commercial real estate, and I'm going to try to talk to you in that form, right? But there might be some things I drop in there that, maybe, if you are well versed in commercial real estate, you understand. If you don't, my bad. Just giving a little buffer. So first off, let's talk about the basics real quick, right? Let's get everybody caught up to speed. What is the difference between commercial real estate and your 1 to 4 family homes? Okay, the biggest difference is the numbers. That's it, right? And what that means is when you're buying a regular residential home and it's 1 to 4 family, the lender, all they're going to care about is comps. It's all about comps, 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 comps. You live and die by comps. What are comps? They're short for comparisons. What the is that? What that is means you bought a house on this block. The bank, the appraisers, whatever, are going to look at 2 to 3 mile radius, maybe 5 if they can't find a like type house, 5 beds, 3 baths, 3 beds, whatever the hell it is, right? But they're going to comp it, they're going to compare it, and as long as it's all trading around that same price range, probably going to pass and you're going to be fine, right? So when it comes to investing in single family homes or 1 to 4 family, it's really hard for you to gain value because the bank's not going to. You could have a house that you're making $10,000 a month on. The bank is only going to lend you what it is comparing to sell on the regular market. I know that sounds really weird, but that's just the way how things shake down. The soon as you get to the fifth home or the fifth unit or however you want to call it, usually the fifth home, right? The fifth piece is no longer a 4 family, it becomes a 5 family, which is now commercial real estate for multifamily, right? It's all about the numbers. If you're talking about a commercial piece of property like a strip mall, or maybe even it's a single home that got converted into an office, whatever, it's all about the numbers. Show me the numbers. So what are the numbers? What the hell does that mean? Well, what that means is your NOI, your net operating income. That's all the banks are going to care about. That's all anyone's going to care about. What is an NOI? What is a net operating income? What it is your total rent minus your total expenses. Now, and we're going to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty here. Now, the difference is how you underwrite it. What does underwriting mean? It just means when you look at a deal, how do you chalk it up? How do you write the deal? What do you think, right? Because, for example, you might look at, let's say you're buying a 10-unit complex. It's collecting $1,000 a month. It's $10,000, right? That's the total rent, right? And all you do is you take out insurance and taxes. And let's just say, I'm gonna do it on a calculator. If you're listening to this or whatever, you can pull a calculator out too. We'll try to walk through it together. Let's just say you got 10 units. You're earning $10,000 a month, right? And you got yourself obviously 12 months, 12 months in a year, right? Even on a Chinese calendar, is 12 months in a year. So that's $120,000 in rent you are getting a year. And oh, by the way, obviously the NOI is based off of a year. That's how you get this number. And let's just make things easy. Let's just say your taxes and your insurance is 20 racks, right? So bam, that bad boy's gone. Now you're at $100,000. Some people will say, "Whoa, your NOI is 100,000, bud," and the valuation goes from there. And time out. And this is where you could get in trouble, right? And this is where, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you could end up overpaying and kind of getting screwed over and a little bit, definitely overpaying for a price and probably getting burned a little bit, right? And I'll tell you why. Just follow me. I'll tell you why the NOI is important and how go from here, right? So let's backtrack. 10 units, 10 grand a month, 1,000 a piece, 120. You took 20 out for insurance and tax. And you said, oh, it's 100,000 is my NOI. 100,000 is my NOI. It's not. Okay. This is how I do it. I'm not saying you got to do it the way I do it, but if you followed my page, you follow my work, I'm a conservative guy all the way around. I'm very risk adverse, and I will take bets like crazy. I'm not scared to take bets, but I got to take bets that are in my favor, and that's one thing you guys have to understand. In business and whatever, no one is forcing you to do anything. You're doing it of your own free will. With that being said, why the hell wouldn't you want the game rigged in your favor? You should. If I could play basketball and I could force my opponents to play with one hand and one leg, and they had to hop around, and it has to be their left leg and their left arm, wouldn't you want to do that? Why? Yeah, of course you would. You want to win, right? The whole point of the game is to win. The whole point of doing a business deal, whatever, you want to make money, you want to win. It doesn't mean that somebody else has to necessarily lose in business, but you want the advantage on your side, right? You don't. If somebody says this is the price, you don't have to pay that price. You can make an offer and they could sit down, they could debate whatever. And if they of their own free will accept that offer, that's okay. They got what they wanted, which was to sell, whatever it is they're trying to sell, a business, a piece of property, whatever. You got it at your price because you did your work. That's the difference. And you got to be able to walk away from a deal. Some of the best deals I ever did are deals I walked away from. It means I didn't do it. Why? Because I was able to protect my capital, and I saw a way better deal come up, and I was like, hell yes, I got it. Thank God I was patient. Patience is a virtue. Patience does pay. That's the name of the game. Okay, let's focus. Let's focus back in. You got 100 racks. Okay. The reality is, guys, I want to take it back to square one. Let's do $120,000 a year. Okay? Because remember, 10 units, 10,000 a month, 12 months, 120. First off, every single person that has ever done real estate realizes you are not going to have 100% occupancy. Shocker. You're going to have evictions. You're going to have problems. You're going to have these things happen. You also have to price that in. What do I do to price it in? Whenever I buy something, I target 90% occupancy. And in my opinion, still sometimes kind of high. Depends, right? Some people say, whoa, I target 95. Why are you doing 90? That's crazy. You're discounting it too much. Some people say, bro, you're lucky to get 90. I do 85. Everybody has their own way. And that's something that you have to, I can't give you that answer. It's up to you, your experience. It depends on the market you're in. This is where your research comes in, right? Because like every single situation and scenario is different. You could be buying in a bad part of town that 50% of it don't pay rent and you're always behind. You could be buying in the greatest part of town that you have a backlog of tenants and you're hardly ever, you go 3 years without having a vacancy. I don't know. This is also your intuition, your knowledge, your brain. You have to come up with your number on that vacancy. And I'm going to say this a lot. These are my numbers on the markets I'm in. Your markets, your numbers, everything's going to be a little bit different. This is why real estate isn't like a one glove fits all. I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you the hammer. I'm giving you the screwdriver, the wrench, and you're going to have to build and do whatever yourself. Like I'm telling you, this is a hammer. This is how you use a hammer. Now you get what I'm saying? I'm giving you the tools. You got to figure out how to use them yourself. So I do 90%. So 90% of 120 brings us to $108,000. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't add this next part into their expenses. I do. I add in, for example, your property management company. They're going to probably take 10%, right? Excuse me. They're going to take 10%. Then you have to have a maintenance budget and a CapEx budget. Maintenance budget is pretty straightforward, right? Shit breaks, shit happens. You got to be able to account for that and put that money aside. Right. And doesn't count to your profit. So you got to take that away from your NOI, Then you also have to have a CapEx. What is CapEx? It is capital expenditures. Now, right? Whatever. If you didn't, Capital expenditures are your roof, your plumbing, your big deal things, right? Your electrical, your shit that's going to have to get done, your new counters, your new cabinets, your new tub that eventually you're going to have to do. It's not the wear and tear of the maintenance when someone moves out. You got to pay, maybe change out a couple of tiles, a couple of blinds. That's normal. That's your maintenance, right? Your CapEx, you also need to take that money, put it to the side because shit's going to happen. If you're planning on holding this property, right, you're going to have to pay for it. Someone's going to have to pay for it. It's going to be you. It's going to be you. So you need to put that money aside. Yes, you'll have that money in hand, but you can't really count that as profit, right? Okay, so 10% I take out for management. I usually do 6%, 3% for CapEx, 3% for maintenance. But once again, what are we talking about? What area are we in? If you're renting to a bunch of old people, yeah, you're probably not going to have that high of a maintenance budget. You're probably going to have a lower vacancy, right? But if you're in a rougher area where every tenant, there's a couple of holes in the wall, you're probably going to have to go a little bit higher. Once again, you got to know your market, you got to know your area. So let's use mine. Let's use 16%, right? And by the way, when I break this down, I take vacancy out first. Now I'm left with 108,000. Right now, out of that 108,000, I'm going to remove another 16%. Right? I'm not going to take the 16 out of the 120. That doesn't make any sense because that money has to be gone. The vacancy is gone first. What's my actual rent? My actual rent is 108,000. I'm expecting to lose $12,000 a year on people leaving, units being turned, the time spent from getting the unit turned to then paying an agent to rent it again, all that, it gets factored into the vacancy, right? So we got 16%, right? So 100 minus 16 is 84%. So $108,000. And I think that I'm going to be able to retain 84% of that. $90,720 is what I think I'm actually going to collect. Now, don't forget, we didn't remove the property tax and insurance, which we agreed was 20 racks, right? So let's just remove that 20,000. Now look at this, guys. Look at this. Now my NOI is 70,000. That's a far cry, or 70,720. That's a far cry from 100, right? I'm going to tell you why that's important in a little second here. If I'm evaluating this at 70,000, obviously it's going to be a lot cheaper than evaluating it at 100. So now let's get into the nitty gritty of commercial real estate, which is cap rates. So what are cap rates? Capital expenditures. It means if I were to buy this complex all cash, I wanted to earn an X amount of return, that's what the cap rate would be. It would be like, if this apartment complex was $1 million and I'm buying it at an 8 cap, it means if I put a whole $1 million down, I could earn 8% of that million, 80,000 a year. The way I look at cap rates, and I think majority of the real estate industry probably does, is your cap rate is going to be very close to the rate that you could borrow. To keep it simple, let's not worry about what I said about the other thing, right? Let's just worry about this. If you're borrowing today at 8%, you should probably be buying an 8 cap. If you're borrowing at 6%, you'll be buying a 6 cap. The lower the cap rate, the higher the price of the asset. The higher the cap rate, the cheaper the price of the asset. It just goes inverse. So how do you get the cap rate? You get this number, 70,000 that we got. Then you divide it by the percentage. So I want 8% because that's what my cost to borrow is 8%. I'm not going to buy anything less than an 8 cap. I'm not. You can stretch it. It's not like a golden rule. You can buy a 7 cap. If you really like the property, you're like, man, I see some value in it, whatever. You could go a percent below. Sometimes you'll still pencil out, whatever. Once again, it's up to you. It's your market. You got to do the work. You got to understand, you got to make a guess where you think your market that you're buying at is going, right? Let's do 8% on 70,720. 8%. That valuation comes at $884,000. That means for the 10 units, I should be paying $884,000. Let's do the same thing when we talked about 100,000 NOI. We never took out the vacancy. We never took out the CapEx. We never, whatever. We never took out the maintenance budget or the property management. We did 100,000 at the same thing at an 8 cap. That's $1.25 million. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. 1.25 million versus I'm going to do 70,000. I know it's 70,000 and a couple of dollars, but let's just do 70,000 divided by 8 cap. 875 minus 1.25 million. You're talking about a $375,000 difference. That's a big difference, right? That's a big difference to make up. And that's why it's important that you know what you're doing. You know how to underwrite your own deal. You know your market. You're like, yeah, I'm going to have to pay 10% for property management in this place because it's a rougher neighborhood. Yeah, I got to set 6% aside for maintenance and CapEx because it's a rougher neighborhood. Or, you know, the vacancy should only be 5% here. It's a very safe neighborhood. People love living here, and the tenants have been here for 3 years, and they're not going to move anytime soon. And the maintenance seems real low. Everything seems real. I could do it at 4%. I'm gonna go. I don't have to go say. I don't know. You gotta do the work still. I'm just showing you how to get to the numbers, right? How are you getting to the number? You're asking somebody, I want to buy something at this rate. They're like, are you on crack? I got to list why. Then you present them with a bunch of shit that says, this is why. This is why right here. Here's the data. Here's my numbers. Then they could say, okay, you got a couple of legs to stand on. If you're just throwing numbers out to throw numbers out, that doesn't even make any sense to begin with, right? And that's where commercial real estate is. There's a big difference between that and in the 1 to 4 family, because here it's all about the number, all about the NOI. And then on our end, once we acquire the property, then we're looking at, man, what the hell can we do to increase the value of that NOI? What can we do? Can we add pet fees? Can we add a washer dryer, a coin laundry in there? Can we add a security type system in there that we could charge, our tenants a little bit more? I don't know. You got to also figure that out. Can we go into the units and make them a little bit bigger? Or can we, what can we do? Can we increase the rent because of that? Can we add balconies? There's a million different things, right? Like every property is going to have its own unique thing. And that's called value add, right? That's how you're going to make money. Why? Because let's say all of a sudden you bought a property and nobody was charging for parking fees, right? Let's say you bought in an area where parking is very whatever. And you're like, hey, starting next year, we have 10 parking spots. We're charging an extra $100, right? Per parking spot, right? $100 times 10 units, that's $1,000, right? That's $12,000. Let's say it's 10,000 because you're still accounting for CapEx, all the bullshit, whatever. $10,000 divided by 8%, you just added $125,000 in value. Like that's how you're going to make money, right? That's how the game works. Those are the two fundamental differences. And by the way, I got to plug my own course in. If you're interested in this, I have a free course on my website, johawcapital.com, the real estate analysis course. And basically it's me, boring old me. And I walk you through how to create an Excel sheet that shows you, all the formulas, how to evaluate a deal top down, smaller, like 20, 30 units, anywhere from one single family home to up to 30 units. You can plug in all these numbers and mess with it. Very basic sheet, but it helps you understand. It helps you get started. If you're still interested in this, or you listened to this so far and you said, holy shit, bro, my head's spinning. I don't know. You threw a bunch of shit at me. Go to my course, absolutely free. The reason why it's free, posted about this, I guess I'll say it again, is this is how I gain your trust. This is how I bring value to you. Therefore, you decide to follow me and you actually look at me like, oh, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. He hooked me up. It's not just like I'm some fake guru trying to fucking whatever. I'm not a guru. I said guru. I'm not a guru. I'm just like you guys. It's just I have dedicated more of my time to this. And obviously you listening to this shows that you give a shit. It shows that you want to, get ahead in life and learn as many things as you can. And, I'm here to help around that journey because I wish I had somebody when I was starting that I could be like, I could DM this guy or girl or whatever. And I can learn because I'm caught up on what the hell. Can you break down a cap rate a little bit more? Whatever, right? Anyways, that was a crash course in commercial real estate. And the reason why I said all of this is the reason why also that NOI is important is because after that, you have to have debt service, right? This is why it's important. You have to have debt service. That means, you buy a property at 800,000 or whatever we concluded, 825, 875, whatever, right? You negotiate it. You put 20% of that down with the commercial bank, 25, 30% of it down. I don't know, whatever terms you get. And then out of that $70,000, $100,000, whatever your NOI was, you got to pay your debt. After you pay your debt, then you get your profit, right? And the reason why I'm saying all of this to bring it back full circle What's happening right now is people bought at low cap rates. We broke down that 10 unit example. We knew we should only pay about $825 for that unit. Maybe $900, maybe, I don't know, maybe $900. If it's in a good area, whatever, you pay a little bit more. That's not that big of a deal, right? But it would be a big deal if you bought it for $1.25 million and your NOI was not $100,000. Your NOI was $70,000. Now you see how that's a problem because you borrowed at $1.25 million, not at $850 or $900, right? You over leveraged, and before it made sense because interest rates were real low. So you were borrowing at 3% and you were able to make your payments and maybe make a little bit or just break even. Now it's and remember, commercial real estate works on 3, 5, and 7 year loan terms, right? Every 3 years, every 5 years, every 7 years, the bank's going to come back and say it's time to refinance. Excuse me. All that means the bank's going to look at the total debt remaining and see where's the market at on interest rates, and they're going to slap that new interest rate there. And that's your new payment. It's not fixed. It's not like regular real estate or regular, but like, 1 to 4 family where it stays fixed for 30 years. Commercial, every 3, 5, 7, you got to pony up again. And what's happening is some of these people that didn't do their work, they got a little bit too greedy. They were like, oh man, we could buy it at 125. We'll make it work, right? Now their loan's still like $1 million or 900,000, right? And they're about to go from a 3% interest rate to a 8% interest rate because that's where the market is. And now those payments don't make sense. And they're still only collecting $70,000 net operating income. And their total debt is 90. Now they're underwater. So the bank is like, hey, you either got to, out of this $900 or $1 million loan, you either got to put more money in to bring that loan down to make that payment whole, or you got to sell, or we're going to take the property back. And a lot of people are just saying, I can't do it. Take the property back. The one saving grace for multifamily homes or apartment complexes is rents have dramatically increased since the beginning of the pandemic until now. Rents have gone up 20, 30%. Some of them might be safe. Some of them might escape by the hairs of the little chinny chin chins, right? But there's also another problem for that. The other problem for that is they weren't accounting for all the stuff me and you are supposed to account for: the CapEx, the maintenance, the property management. So they bought something at 100 NOI when they should have bought it at a 70 NOI, and they're going to make it by the hairs of their chinny chin chins until you get a roof that starts leaking, until you get a major plumbing problem, until you get an electrical problem. Then what are you going to do? Because you're already strapped for cash, right? This whole, and now you're starting to get the picture here. All the commercial real estate guys, it's just a cash management game. If you have enough cash on hand, you're going to be able to survive. If you don't, you're going to drown. There's nothing no one could do because you're maxed out. You're tapped out. The bank is like, this is the most we could do for you. What are you going to do? Run to your credit cards? Okay. How many times are you going to do that? Because where's the money going to come from? It's going to come from your personal life and your personal income you're having to put back in to save that investment. Or eventually you're going to be drowning in debt and you're going to lose it. And that's what I meant is you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework. You got to play the game in your favor because no one is coming to save you. When you are over leveraged and everything's caving in on you, no one's coming to save you. Unless you got a rich mom or dad or something and they're just like, oh, okay, son, I'm going to help you out. Okay, daughter, I'm going to help you out, or a rich uncle or whatever. But for the rest of us, I mean, shit, my mom and dad are in it. No one's coming to save us. This is it. We got nothing, So before we buy, we very detail oriented. We look at the numbers. We look at, oh man, could this go wrong? What has this area shown? What has been the history of this? Hey, I'm buying your property. I'm buying your 10-plex. You've owned it for 5 years. Can I see your rent rolls for the last 5 years? Can I see your tax returns for the last 3 years on this? Are you at 100%? Do the work. No one's going to do the work for you. You still need to do the work. And that's why it trips me out, because it's not fucking easy, man. I've beat my head into the wall. There's so many deals I looked at this year, that we have put together, ran the numbers on, got all the information, wasted 10, 15, 20 hours of my week doing everything. And it's like, fuck, shit didn't make sense at the end. And I was like, I fucking knew it didn't make sense, but we're also trying to make a deal happen, right? So you kind of start to justify, like, maybe I could get it at a 7 cap. Maybe we could go 5% here. But then you're carrying the risk that it's on you. It is on you. Your shit goes south, it's on you. No one's coming to save the day for you. So you got to be really realistic with yourself, right? Like, do you have enough reserves? Right? Like, I like to carry at least minimum 3% of the purchase price needs to be on hand in cash in the bank at all times in case of oh shit moments happen, right? So these are the different things that come into it. And my whole point in saying this is, the wave that's coming, the real estate tsunami that's coming, the biggest people are going to be hit. Guys, it's not a freaking secret. We all know this. The biggest people that are going to be hit is office space. But the way office space works, reality is you're buying office space today probably at 20 caps. Yeah, you're buying it at 20 caps. It means that you're going to be able to buy that real estate for so cheap that if you could get it rented in 5 years, you're going to make your money back because no one's going to take that risk anymore of buying office space that you think you're going to buy at a 10 cap or lower. That world's gone. And those people that bought office space at those low cap rates, they are way underwater. I mean, we saw the discrepancy, guys, right? From 8 something to 1.25. Some of that office space discrepancy is like 2 million to 1 million. It's like 50%. Do I think there's opportunity in office space? Yes, I absolutely do. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, you could buy something cheap enough, it will make sense. Then, the other factors of you having to do the work have to come in. Are you buying, right here in Dallas, where the city of Dallas is going to continue to grow in population? It's probably going to double in population over the next 20 years, right? So what does that mean? That means if somebody wants to build more office space, they're not going to do that. They know office space is already drowning, right? And yeah, there's going to be people that need office space. Even me, as I get bigger, I mean, hopefully this podcast gets bigger. My insurance brokerage gets bigger. We grow the real estate brokerage. We are going to need an office. We're going to be in the market for it. Other people are going to be growing companies. They're going to need space to have their employees meet up and do whatever. It might be a co-sharing space where you have 2 companies that, pay down the middle for computers and stuff. And then Monday, I don't know, like 3 days they use it, 3 days they use it, or it's one company and it's a smaller space. And they're like, hey, we're going to rent, this is a 5,000 square foot space. We're going to section it off to 2,000. We're going to have certain staff members come in Monday and Tuesday. Certain come in, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know. But I don't think office space is going to completely disappear. I think you got to do the work. You got to look at the city. You got to look at the demographics. You got to look at, is the city growing? Is it shrinking? What's the age of the population of the city? Do you have a bunch of 18-year-olds that are it's like 30% of the city, a bunch of 18-year-olds that are more likely to stay in the city? They're going to get professional jobs. You can see all, you get what I'm saying now. You see how I'm trying to draw that picture, come to these conclusions. Every city, every state, every county, they're all going to be different stories. They're all going to have different things that you're going to have to put the work in and figure out, like, okay, this is why it could work. This is why it's not going to work. I wish it was an easy button that's just like, oh no, you buy it, you rent it, and then you get to chill. That's those days are gone, right? That's why I even posted the Chick-fil-A. Now that you understand cap rate, selling at a 3 cap, I'm like, you're selling at why the fuck would I buy your Chick-fil-A for $6 million at a 3 cap? If I have $6 million, why wouldn't I buy a 10-year bond that's paying me almost 5%? And I got no headaches, no worries, no nothing. And then I'll wait in 10 years, I'll go buy something else. You get what I'm saying now? So it's like this is why it's becoming difficult, because there's such a discrepancy between what people like me and you are doing the numbers, putting the money in, going to take the risk to take the building, to eventually have to fix the roof, have to fix the electrical, have to fix the plumbing, regardless of what type of asset class you're buying, right? We're factoring all these things in. Versus the people selling it, they're like, yeah, you could buy it at a 5 cap. I'm like, buy it at a 5 cap? Are you insane? Like, how are we going to, we're not going to survive if we buy at a 5 cap. We're not. We're going to be just drowning. I'm sorry. I'd rather just wait. Because why would you put your money to work in that manner? It's insane. It doesn't make sense. What does make sense then, Joe Hall? What does make sense? What no one's going to buy anything anymore? Everything's going to buy? No, it's not that. It's just sometimes it takes time for reality to really set in. If you got that stubborn person that has been trying to sell their property for a year, it hasn't budged, and they really still want to sell it, eventually they're going to have to sell it at a price that the market wants. Don't forget, we are the ones buying. No one's putting our gun to our head saying we have to buy. We could simply say, no, we're going to wait. And what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for at least a minimum of 7 cap. Six cap on A class property, sure, I'll pay that premium, even though I got to borrow at eight. If it's a very good building, everything's great, yeah, I'll pay a six. I'll bite. Maybe I'll even pay a five if it's a really good area, very good location, right? It all depends. But I'm not going to buy like a C cast property that needs a lot of bunch of work, and I'm going to pay a five cap for it. I'm not going to put myself in that position, and nor am I going to put my partners, my limited partners, in that position because I'm screwing them. I'm screwing myself. Like I'm not going to risk my reputation on that, right? Now, if it was independent and I had crazy money coming in, I was like, money didn't matter. I just got to put it to work somewhere. That's a different story, right? That's a different story. Like that's a different ball game. But for regular people like us, we got to buy things that make sense to us. And like I just said, like all the examples I gave, what makes sense to me might not make sense to you, or what makes sense to you might not make sense to me. I'm like, hey, why are you doing an 8% vacancy? You might do a 5%. You say, Joe Hall, I'm doing a 5% vacancy because, or I'm sorry, take that back. Why are you doing a 5% property management or a 0% property management? Why aren't you doing 10? Joe Hall, I'm in the area. I manage my own real estate. I have that edge. I don't got to pay a property management 10%. So I can afford to pay a little bit more for the building. Okay, makes sense, right? You see how I'm saying? Like everyone's story is different. Everyone's situation is different. Every property is different. You got to tell the story of that property yourself. And you got to figure out what the price is for you on each single property. That's why it's hard. It's not one size fits all. You just plug the numbers in. No, because every property is going to have its own story, its own headaches, its own whatever the hell it is, right? All right, I just beat the hell out of that horse. We cooked it. We cut it. I think I gave you a crash course in commercial real estate. So if you didn't know a lick about it, I guess you're welcome. I don't know, or I bored you to death. I'm sorry if you're, if you're still listening. I don't know. Let's talk. Let's move off of that. I digress. Let's move off of that and let's talk about. We talked about that. We talked about that. I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about the impeachment thing now. Look, man, like, is it a bad look for the country? Yeah, it was a bad look when they did it to Trump twice. It's going to be a bad look now when we do it to Biden. And we should be above it, right? We should be able to say, we don't like what this person's doing. Like let's go back to Trump. We don't like what Trump's doing. We're going to be vocal about it, and we're going to take it to the booth, and we're going to debate it, and we're going to get this guy out. Not we're going to find out, we're going to drag his name through the mud, we're going to whatever, we're going to do any means necessary. And it sounds childish because it is like a tit for tat. Like, you started it, we're going to finish it. But I just, the reality is, guys, is the way it's politics for a reason, right? It's literally called politics. What does it mean? Oh, that boy is politicking, right? We heard that. Oh, he's politicking, right? It's like, you play nice when you got to play nice. You be a dick when you got to be a dick. The whole, I mean, if I looked up the Greek word for politics, I'm sure it has something to do with like fuckery. You know what I mean? Like, it has something to do with like you're being political. Like, you're working at what favors you, you're attacking when to attack, you're doing whatever whenever you're doing whatever, right? uh Let me see. Now that you guys got me curious. Okay. uh Yeah, politics is a way for people living in groups to make decisions. Politics is making agreements with people so they can live together in a lot. Whatever. I remember reading something. It was just like, being political, being whatever. It was more like I said, man, it's like, you just got to get shit done. And sometimes you're going to play nasty. Sometimes you're going to play nice. It's just, is it right? It's not. Like, I'm sure a lot of people that follow me probably think more along the lines I am. I'm very to the face. I'm very blunt. And part of the reason why I like to just be honest is because, like, I'm too fucking lazy, right? I'm too lazy. I don't, because if you tell one lie, you got to tell three more to cover it up, or yeah, three more to cover it up. And then you got to cover that up. And it's a lot of fucking work. So I'm like, fuck it. Here's who I am. You like me or you don't like me. If you don't like me, then fuck, I don't know. I don't think I'm a bad person, but maybe I am. Maybe I'll try to change a little bit. That's just the type of person I am, right? Like, I don't like playing that game because I'm fucking lazy. That's at the core, right? But a lot of people do like to play the game, and it serves them well. And they get very far in life, right? Oh, ha ha ha! With this person, and then they'll go to this person and they'll say, "Man, fuck that guy." Like, I thought you guys were friends. Like, I got to use him for this, and I got to get here. And that's all it is. It's all it is. And this right now for the impeachment thing, it is like political theater, and it's not going to go anywhere because what's going to happen is just like with Trump, the House impeaches, the Senate's going to stop it. And the same thing's going to happen here. But do I think it's necessary? I mean, I'm at the point now where it's like, bro, Republicans kind of got to start fighting back a little bit, bro. We can't just be the geo golly. Oh, you got to be the nice guy all the time. It's like, no, bro, like these guys are not going to stop. You got to be able to punch back. You know, it's like I don't know how else to explain it. I know that sounds very rude. That sounds very like, bro, that's not, we're better than that. It's not about that, bro, because if you're listening to this, that means you actually give a shit about life. Not that you're listening to me, but like, I mean, like, you're like, hey, this guy has some value. Let me see if I can extract some of his value, add it to my life. Right? It means you give a shit. You're paying attention. You're aware. You read the news. You don't just listen to me. You listen to a bunch of different people, right? You're well rounded, right? And the problem is, man, I hate to say this, but it's like, it's the fucking truth. What can I say? A lot of people don't give a fuck. They just look at the headlines, right? They don't look to the whole. If you're listening to this right now, still, it means you actually give a fuck. You actually listened. You actually listened through the whole real estate, fucking spiel and like, oh, okay, I understand how NOIs work. Oh, okay, I got it. I'm gonna go take this course. You actually give a shit. So I'm not talking to you. You and me think along the same lines, but not everybody thinks like me and you, right? Not everybody thinks logically and rationally and whatever. The average person that's in the middle, they just see the fucking headlines on CNN. They just see BLM. They just see whatever they see. And if they don't see Biden get impeached, if they don't see the Republicans, impeach him again for the money laundering, right? If they don't see that, then it never happened. It never happened in their world, right? And do I blame them? No, man, because life is different, man. We're all fucking unique, right? We all can't be the same. If we were all the same and every single person wanted to own real estate in the world, that's just not going to work, right? Like that's, some people have to just be like, yeah, you go ahead and do that. I'm going to focus on building this company, or I'm going to get ahead in my job. And, we all can't be the same. My point in saying all of this is sometimes we do have to play dumb political theater in order to get the masses to listen, because the masses aren't going to listen by just the status quo. Because what's happening is if the Democrats were fair, they wouldn't be fighting dirty. And what's dirty, dude, come on. What was dirty was they made up the whole Russia hoax to slander Trump's name. And that was dirty. And they got away with it. And they got regular people to vote against Trump because of that. So, and this is just a part of the game. We have to understand that. And it's not that I agree with it or whatever. And I feel even dirty for saying this because I've never been the guy that says like, two wrongs make a right. But I'm also smart enough to realize it's just the game. You have to do it. Like, I don't know. I know, man. I know it sounds dirty saying it. I know it does, but it's like, what are we supposed to do? Just lay down and be the nice guys? Because the average person isn't going to vote for that, because the Democrats are not going to stop their attack. They're not. They're going to keep slandering everything about Trump or the Republican Party in any way they can. They don't care they obviously don't care for the truth. They have their agenda. They're going to push it down our throats. And if we don't fight back, we have to take it. So what are you going to do? Are you going to punch back, or are you going to take it? That's really what it comes down to, right? And for me, the impeachment that they're going after for, letting the illegal immigrants in and doing all that. I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, what I would like to see is the money laundering. Go after that. Open the investigation up. Start proving the links to the Biden family. Go after that impeachment, right? That's what needs to actually happen. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that illegal immigration isn't going to be a problem, and we don't know who we're letting in. And the fentanyl that's coming in, it is impacting people. 300 people a day dying. That's the stat that they said, but on the other end of it, I'm more concerned about the money laundering, because to me, that's even a bigger issue than letting people in. Honestly, it really is, because that just shows pure corruption of power. So I don't know, man. We'll see how things play out. And I'm not even going to talk about the John Feder thing, man. That poor guy, bro. It's just, like I said, dude, I don't like being a jerk, man. I have long try to live my life at whoever I grew up with. I didn't want to judge them on the way they looked, their weight, anything that they couldn't control. I'm not saying you can't control weight, but thyroid problems or whatever. I mostly kept my humor and my whatever to if somebody said something stupid, stuff like that. Like if they said a dumb joke, like I'll rag on them for that. I don't like putting other people down, bro, because I think it's an ugly trait. And I don't want to make fun of him for I think he has a speech impediment. I don't know, man, but I just don't think he's fit, to be senator. And dude, Jesus Christ, man, you're wearing a fucking sweatshirt. It's like, dude, come on, you got to have some respect for the country, man. Like you are one of 100 people that have the honor of to call yourself a United States senator. That's a very, very powerful position. You're wearing a fucking sweater, man. Like, I don't know if he's even trolling at this point or what. I don't know, man. But I mean, oh yeah, the George Soros post that I did. I mean, look, man, yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about the Bitcoin dollar going to zero, and then we'll wrap this thing up. The George Soros thing is not a hidden thing, right? We all know that he funded the open society that he has or whatever. And, I watched a few videos on him, and I do not agree with any of his politics or his view, but I understand, man. Like, do I think he's an evil person that wants to destroy the nation? Honestly, no, I don't think I don't, man, how do I explain this without coming off as like, oh, he's a fucking leftist? It's not that. It's just like in his head, in his heart, he believes what he's doing is 100% right. It's not, but he doesn't mean it like, I want to destroy America. I want to whatever. He just genuinely thinks that what he believes and what he's doing is the right way to do things. Like, I don't know if I makes sense, right? So do I think he's an evil supervillain that wants to destroy America? No, I think he thinks like this is the way the world should be. Like if I was king, this is how it should be. Like, does he have a right to put his money to work? He does. He does have an absolute right to go out there, the money that he made, to put it to work however he wants. Does that mean I agree with it? No. Does that mean I think it's right? No, I don't. Luckily, everyone has one vote, and hopefully we realize like this is some crazy ass shit he's pushing. We can't have nations without borders. That's one of his beliefs, right? There should be no borders. Everyone should be able to go wherever they want, right? Hell no, I don't believe that. But do I believe in his right to be able to say what he feels and what he wants and how he thinks the world should be? Absolutely, because I'd be a fucking hypocrite saying that I truly value free speech, and yet I'm saying lock this guy up and this guy shouldn't be. I don't want to be hypocritical like that. I do think he has a right to say what he wants, but I have a right to counter his beliefs. Do I think he's an evil supervillain that wants to? No, I don't think he is. I just think I think he thinks in his head what he's doing is 110% right. And that's been through his own life experience. And I think he's wrong. I think he's very wrong. But I don't think he has like an evil plot to, maybe he does I mean, I guess in a sense it would be to destroy America, right? Because we believe in borders. We believe in, certain things that he wants to fundamentally change. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, yeah. But do I think in reality, he's just a rich guy that thinks like he has like a little complex God syndrome that he thinks like this is the way? Yeah, I think that's who he really is. And once again, I'll reiterate, I do not support him. I do not support his ideas, but I do support his right and his ability to get his words and his opinions out there, right? Because that's what speech is. We could all say we don't agree with that guy, but we have to be able to let him talk, because if we try to silence him, that same power or whatever you want to call it could be used against us. And that's the bigger fear that I have, right? It's like, if you're for free speech, sometimes you got to hear stupid speech too, and you got to be okay with it, right? That's my stance on him, and I'm very vigilant on it, and I'm very glad that post I put up with David Sachs got a lot of shares, because not a lot of people paid attention to the fact that he donated millions of dollars to these smaller towns, district attorneys. And a lot of people aren't aware that those smaller town court cases, sometimes start setting precedents, right? And that starts changing the country without us ever even voting for it. And I think it is important that we bring that to light. And it is important that we call out every single district attorney that was backed by Soros. It should be, because we as, American citizens should have a right to know that somebody on the outside, well, not outside, like I don't know if he is an American citizen or not, but basically we should know that private money, that's what it is, right? It's his money, it's private money, is going into these public elections, and it's impacting our nation. And no one's talking about it. And I think like we should expose that and talk about it and say, If like everybody in a small town should know that whoever the district attorney is running, this is a Soros district attorney. You should know that, and you should know, oh, what do they believe? They believe in no bells, and they believe in, like I said, open borders, and laissez-faire, and all that. You should be able to know that. So, anyways, not to beat that dead horse. Let's talk about the last topic of the night, which was that Buffett, the girl, the 13-year-old that asked about, is the dollar going to zero? And it's so funny how they just kind of they bobbed and weaved, and they ended it with, "Oh yeah, go America!" Don't bet against America. And you know, look, anyone with like half a brain and like two brain cells, I'll give you two brain cells, knows the currency, if we don't change course, and I don't think we can change course with our spending, with the government spending the way it does, is probably going to go to zero. And, in my post, like I said, what can you do? And I know it sounds funny, but like the reality is before the currency goes to zero, we're probably going to experience some type of like super high price inflation, right? And what that usually means is close to hyperinflation. So what that means is if you have, and this is what my opinion is, and you could DM me if you say if I'm wrong, or get at me on Twitter and let me know. And maybe I am wrong. Once again, this is my opinion. This is not fact. This is just my opinion. I feel like we'd probably go into a semi-hyperinflation, or definitely more of a spiral of inflation. That means more dollars will be coming in. And that just means the debt that me and you incur today, right? Like that complex, that 10-unit complex, we buy it for $1,000,000. All of a sudden, rent becomes $3,000 a month in less than 10 years. Of course, we're going to pay that complex off a lot fucking faster, right? So even if the dollar goes to zero, the American government would just make another currency. And, whatever the situation is and whatever, my notes, my debt isn't fucking dollars. So I'm going to pay it back in dollars. So what do I care? I have an asset that I know is going to produce something. But I'll fucking take bananas and apples for rent. That's fine. Whatever it is, right? Like whatever, if it's Bitcoin, if it's Ethereum, okay, I still own the asset. You still got to rent from me. I'll collect it in that. I still own the gas station. You still got to pump gas. Okay, I'll collect Bitcoin. Whatever it is, I still own the pizza shop, or the plumbing company, or the electrician company, or whatever it is type of business that you have, a real asset, a real service you're providing. You're still going to be made whole. You're going to have a period of like, oh shit. So that's why I've never really been like a gold guy, because it's like, to me, real investing, to real protection, real hedge is you buy a piece of something, or you buy the whole thing that's going to pay you something back, whether it be, every month, or every day, every month, every quarter, every year, every 2 years. At a certain point in time, it has to start paying you money back. And, gold does not pay you money back. It doesn't. Gold will go up in value, will keep its value, whatever. But it's not like you buy a piece of gold and it's going to produce more gold for you it's not going to happen, right? It's just, it's like a fake hedge, in my opinion. You're better off owning property. And once again, my opinion, right? You're better off owning a piece of Apple stock, a piece of Coca-Cola that's going to pay you a dividend, pay you something. And that brings me to Bitcoin. In my opinion, yeah, look, where does the gold thing fall in? If you're worth about $5 million total, sure, you could have about maybe 10 grand in gold. That should be enough. Like that, what are we talking about, right? Like, instead of that, like, even if you bought Bitcoin, you bought 1/10 of a Bitcoin. If Bitcoin today is trading, I don't even know, let's just say it's trading at 30,000. It costs you $3,000 for 1/10 of a Bitcoin. Look at the trade, right? Look at the risk, look at the reward. Your risk is 3 G's. Is that a lot? Maybe. $3,000, it's not going to kill you. You can make it back in your lifetime. It's not going to bankrupt you. But if Bitcoin takes over as the predominant currency and it goes to $1 million a coin, right, and you own 1/10 of a coin, that's $100,000, right? So you just turned 3,000 to 100,000. That's a bet I'll take, baby. That's a bet I'll take, because you have an open option on the market. There's not an expiration date for you, right? Once you own that 1/10 of a Bitcoin, you own it forever, right? So maybe it takes 10 years, 20 years for it to be worth $1 million, whatever, right? It's your value. It's stored. It's there, right? And for me, I do think that Bitcoin is going to have value, where you are going to have like a big lending process where you could stake your Bitcoin, and that becomes a lending system for somebody else. And eventually you should start being able to get paid a little bit from that Bitcoin that you own. I do see that, because I don't know, man. The way the world's going right now, like the latest post I did, the FedNow that's about to launch, that all these members of Congress are now shorting PayPal. They're not stupid. They're shorting PayPal for a reason. PayPal will still be around. There'll always be people that use that type of service. It will be. It's just like MoneyGram today, right? Western Union and MoneyGram are still a business. They're not as predominant as they used to be 30 years ago, but they're still around, right? And for the FedNow, it's like if everything does go, electronic, and everything's tracked, we're gonna have to have a second form. Is that second form going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be Ethereum? I don't know. I wish I knew, because I'd fucking go quadruple down on it right now. I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't know, right? But I do know that, myself included, I don't want to stake every single last dollar I have into just the American circulation. I want to take a little bit out, just a little bit, just because I have that paranoia in me, just a little bit. What's that other little bit going to be? And as of right now, to me, my opinion, the clear-cut winner is Bitcoin and Ethereum. I can't think of anything else. But life moves really quickly. Before 2010, there was no such thing as Bitcoin, right? So who knows what could come next? That's a whole other topic for the Fed coin, and how it's going to be faster. They're going to be able to make direct payments, and it's going to be an interesting fucking thing, man. It's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very scary, because your government is going to know every single thing about you, all those data points about you. What do you like to drink? Oh, he goes to 7-Eleven and he buys cherry Coke. Oh, okay, and he likes fucking jerky with the cheese. Oh, okay. This guy's a fucking weird animal. Oh yeah, he likes this. Okay, cool. Now we know what's in his body. Yeah, we know what chemicals are in his body. We know all this shit. It's just weird. It's fucking creepy. They know every little fucking thing about you. They know, what 7-Eleven you go to, what Starbucks you go to, what local gas station you go to, what type of pizza you like to order. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird that some nerd sitting in, I don't even know why I said nerd, but like, some dude somewhere, some girl, some whatever, some government agent out there is going to be able to pull you up, and they're going to have a biometric data. Like, because of those data points, they're going to be able to know a lot about you. They're probably going to know how much you weigh, what your health is, be able to use that to sell it to health. I mean, it is fucking crazy when you start thinking about how different ways you could use this data point. And I don't know if I'm okay with, that much of my information being in the hands of somebody. I think that's pretty trippy, right? It's very trippy. I mean, shit. I mean, not even my wife knows that much about me. You know what I mean? Like, not even my mom and dad know that much about me. Like what time I like to drink coffee, or what time I like to get a snack, or any of that. It's and I'll talk a little bit about it, but these things will also affect like what happens in the future if everything's on that Fed now, and all of a sudden, the Democrat, or even the Republicans, these are the Republicans are in power, and they don't like the fact that you support abortion, and now your credit score drops, and you can't get a house. Or the Democrats are in power, and they don't like the fact that you say there's only two genders, and now your credit score drops, and you can't get that car. It is like a social score in a roundabout way. It's so funny that we rag on China for having a social score, but our credit card system, our credit system in America, your credit score system, is kind of like a social score. It really is, right? Because it dictates what type of interest rates you're going to be able to get on a home, on a car, what kind of car you could get, what kind of home you could buy. It's pretty trippy, man. I don't know. Anyways, this wraps up this week's podcast. I mean, shit. I hope you guys learned something. I know I rambled about a bunch of shit. Dude, if you listen this far, I really freaking appreciate you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever. Let me know what you thought of the podcast, what you want to hear next time, if you thought it was good or not. If you really want to support the channel, of course, join the Discord. It's $5 a month. You get access to the community. You help support the page. I'd appreciate it. And do me a favor, man. Share this with a friend or a family member that you think could learn from this, or if you think my content's dope enough to share, I'd appreciate it. Well, see you guys on the next one. Take care, man.